Hello and welcome to the Fit Dads Podcast. My name is Ryan Dutton. I'm joined by Brad Thompson, and today we are going to talk about why Gen Z-ers are going to the gym rather than the pub. We came across quite an interesting article today, didn't we? And it really captured our imagination. A topic we've been maybe wanting to discuss for a while about the new generation of people who are going to the gym. These people who are kind of young, looking to get fit, looking to socialise. There's a new study that's come out, and it's really proven that young people want to be fit, they want to be in shape, and they want to start using the gym. So we want to delve into that a little bit today. But before we do, Brad, how's your week been, mate? All right.
It's been good. Saturday was a fun one. Amy had a rare Saturday off, so we decided to go to Clumber Park. Pretty sure it was Clumber Park. There's like loads of parks in that area, and I just get them confused. But Clumber, and Ted took his bike. He can fully ride it now, no stabilisers, no balance bike. He's got pedals. He can even put his chain back on, which is wild, yeah.
Wow, if his chain, to put his chain on?
Yeah, if his chain pops off, I've got a video that he just put his chain back on. It's
cool.
It's crazy to watch. And he's decided he can ride with one hand. He's decided he can stand up on his pedals, which is pretty weird.
This worries me, and he's not even my kid.
Yeah. And now he's trying to do wheelies, so that's...
Wheelies as well? Wow. Wait till is it an endo, they call it, where you go forwards?
Oh, yeah. Right, okay.
Reverse of a wheelie.
Yeah. So me and Amy have decided we're probably going to have to get him a new bike because he's quickly growing out of it.
Is he? Have you found that because like his legs are a bit short for the pedals now and they're going to get in a bit crunched up?
He's quite tall for 4. Like he's 5 in September, but he's like we were looking around schools, or we were looking around schools a couple of months ago, and we took Ted to a few, and he's about the same size as some 6-year-olds, and we're like, right, okay, we're gonna we're gonna have to buy you so many more things than what we need to, just because he's growing really quick.
This is a running theme actually, because Harlow turned 2.5. I think she's about 2.5 now. And you have like a health checkup. I think it's like one of the final ones, and they do all the usual laying him out, tape measure, height, weight, all that kind of stuff. And the woman goes, I'm not sure these numbers are right. I mean, I've tested them twice and they must be, but she's the average height of a 4-year-old.
Wow.
Average height and weight of a 4-year-old.
Wow.
So she was like, yeah, she's doing really well. Her speech is great. So, I mean, we're basically bossing parent life, mate.
We're winning, mate. We're winning, which is...
we always say about the other supplements that we're giving them on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. I think I counted up a meal Ted had the other day, and I looked at his plate. I'm like, there's a lot of protein on that plate. I'll see if he eats it. He had 40 grams. Wow. For his dinner. That blew my head off.
40 grams of protein.
Wow. Like, impressive as well. Really impressive. I didn't force it on him. He's just like, can I have some more steak, please? Like, yeah. If you want.
It's funny that we bought Harlow steak at the weekend and she absolutely loved it. I was a bit unsure how it was going to go. It was one of these ones that was sautéed in garlic butter and it was phenomenal. Really, really nice. But she loved it. Yeah, couldn't get enough of it. Chopped it up into like little pieces so she wasn't choking on it. That was always a risk.
Amazing.
But
amazing. And then one other bit of news from us, I've got a little nephew, a brand new little nephew.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, little
new member of
Louis.
the family.
Yeah, so little Louis, he's about a month old now and he's
great.
He's so small. I forgot how small newborns were.
Which brother's this?
Bill and Hannah. Yeah, Bill and Hannah have had their...
Is this their second?
No, first.
First?
Yeah, so we've all got one now.
Oh, amazing.
My mum's got two grandsons and one granddaughter. So, yeah, we've all had one now.
Expensive Christmases for your grandma. Yeah, your mum now, should I say.
That's how it feels, yeah.
Yeah.
But, speaking of which, it's actually my mum's birthday today. So
is it? Happy birthday to mum.
I need to message her. Happy 60th, Monday.
You've not already messaged her? No. Oh, dear.
I've been too busy.
I feel like we need to stop the podcast right now so you can message her.
Right, I definitely need to message her.
We'll do it after.
But no, what about yourself, mate? Have you had a busy...
Speaking of bikes, yeah, Harlow has her first bike, if you can call it that. It's one of these push bikes. You know, I think it was probably you who told me about these push bikes that are really good transition to like get into a normal bike.
Yeah.
But I was telling you, or showing you, should I say, in the hallway, how she was using it. And you said the analogy of riding it like a toy horse.
Yeah.
She doesn't sit on the seat. She just kind of like has the handlebars, stands up and runs with it between her legs. So it's quite cute to see, but we do want to try and get her, obviously, balancing on it, essentially. Yeah. So, some work to be done there, but...
That did Ted world of good, honestly. He gets really confident going over like bumps and just getting some speed, because you can just put your feet down, stop. She will really love it. It's just getting used to getting out and about. Just wait till she gets really quick as well. That's when it's worrying.
Yeah,
she gets really quick.
Well, she runs really quick now, and even that is just chasing her down the road. So how she'll be on a bike, I've got no idea. But she had my pants down. We went to Smith's toy store. And I'd been around Meadowhall getting a few bits. And I said, we'll get a little present for Mummy and we'll get a little present for Walty. And Daddy needs these few little bits. And she goes, I've got to get a present for me. I was like, right, what present do you want? She went, a pink present. Didn't specify what, just had to be pink. Okay. So went to the shop and we were walking on the toy aisle and she's got most of the shit anyways, you know what I mean? There's not much more. Like, there's only so many Frozen and kind of Moana toys you can get. So I said, right, let's have a look around the back. So I went around the side and right at the back is the like bikes and all the kind of electrical stuff. And I did see this bounce back and I kind of picked it up just to have a look at it really, because I remember you saying that they were quite good. And I'm thinking, how far off it this is she? And then as soon as she saw me with it in her hands, she was like, I want to try it. So I brought it down, she had a little go and I could just tell. And she's never ever said this to me before about any other toy we bought her. But as soon as she finished playing it and gone up and down the aisle, she come back and went, can we take this home?
Oh.
And my heart melted a little bit. I was like, I literally can't say no now. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't particularly expensive. So yeah, we got that. That's how we got the pink bike.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's good. She loves it, and I'm hoping we're going to get the skills up a little bit over the next few weeks, but we'll see.
I feel like the garage is expanding for you, isn't it?
I showed you as you walked up the hallway there. We've got scooter, mini Porsche.
Yeah.
We've got bike. What's the other thing? It's like
Scuttlebug.
Scuttlebug thing. Yeah, a little trike. Yeah. So the garage is growing for her now.
Love that. And that's just in time for, spring's coming. By the time summer comes around, mate, she'll buzz off it, because you can get them to walk around. Like, let's go for a nice walk. But if they're on a bike, they can go quick. They can explore. I think the speed of it will actually be in the first few weeks when she cracks it quite good, because at the moment when we go for a walk, it's a nightmare. Like you stop in and she's tired. You've also got to pick her up and your arms are hurting by the time you get back. So the bike, I think, is going to be a really good thing. I've got some advice for you, mate. Just get practicing your suitcase carries in the gym. Just
for the bike.
Yeah.
It's not heavy though, don't worry.
For 20 minutes, mate, in one hand, it soon gets heavy.
As soon as we bought it, same day I went for a walk in the park with her. And she loved it all the way there, but then she just got bored, and then she wanted to be picked up.
Yeah.
And it was the triple threat. I had Harlow, the bike, and Walter. It was a nightmare. So what I did was I had Harlow in one hand, the bike in the same hand I was holding Harlow, and then Walter. My biceps and shoulders when I got home were in absolute pieces.
Reasons to train number 74.
Yeah. You see those videos of people online doing weird exercises with dumbbells. Like, what's he training for? And it just snaps to him carrying his daughter, bike, dog in hand.
Love that. There's something I'm going to tell you about actually the carrying and lifting stuff, but I'll come back to it.
Okay.
I know it's just slipped my mind that's never happened. That's never happened to me.
We've just
done
a big episode before this, haven't we? We're getting podcast fatigue today.
Maybe, yeah.
Speaking of which, should we dive in now? Because I know we've not got huge amounts of time with us today. So let's go into this one. So the headline read, Gym beats pub for Gen Zers when it comes to socialising, finds focal data research for the gym group.
In terms of Gen Z, I just want to clarify that is anyone born between 1997 and 2012. So in my eyes, they're about 5 years old, but they're not. They're actual human beings, actual adults now.
Yeah. So what age is that? That's like, it's basically people from 18, 19 to...
Like 28.
28? Yeah. That 10-year period.
Yeah, have I added that up right? 28?
I
think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more.
Yeah. My little brother was 95 and he's 30 this year. He was born in 95, yeah.
So 28, it will be 28. Yeah, correct. But it doesn't really shock us because we've been in gym environments for a long time. I've been training there, you've been working there. And I think we've noticed those changes in the types of people that go there. I probably notice it less in the station. I think it's maybe a bit more of an older crowd in the station with a few young ones in there. But especially when I go to JD down the road, very, very young. And I think the price point of these gyms as well, at 10, 15, 20 pounds a month, is very affordable for people of that age.
I've got an example story about this. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to go to the gym at 5 p.m. on a Saturday, mainly because I started getting a bit ratty. So he was just like, go to the gym and move. So I went out of the house, went to station. 5 o'clock on a Saturday, I thought, I'll be able to get on everything. This will be easy peasy. it were rammed. I'm talking like 16-year-olds right up to like 21, 22.
Yeah.
And I got talking to a few of them and I'm like, look, like, what are you training for? And the brilliant technique, by the way. None of this like, they're clearly very well versed now. Like the skill has gone out of this world. Lifting pretty heavy. You know, there's some good riggers in there. And I just got talking to them. I'm like, are you guys coming here because you're going out tonight? Like what we used to do? They went, no, we're going around Josh's house for a curry. I'm like, are you 35? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Why aren't you going out? And they're like, oh, well, you know, we just like to hang around, you know, play some games, you know. I'm like, this generation, man, it's mad.
Why do you think that's changed? What do you think's changed in the mindset of people of that age compared to when we were younger? Because when I was younger, all the focus was on going out with your mates, going to the pub, planning nights out, festivals, everything revolved around being out, music, dancing, booze, of course.
Yep.
What's changed, do you think?
I tried to look for some trends in this. So I did a little Google search, and I just want to shout out Google's AI overview because it's pretty sick. So me and Ryan, we are classed as millennials, much to the annoyance of many people who slag off millennials.
I feel like millennials of everyone get like the worst.
Yeah.
That's like the one like tagline that isn't particularly well respected.
And then Generation X were our parents.
Yeah.
So our parents, their social circle were probably pubs for numerous reasons. You know, they were like a bit of a meeting ground for their friends.
Social clubs, things like that.
Yeah, social clubs used to, you know, go out drinking. There were a bit more of a drinking culture there.
Working man's clubs, that's what we call them sometimes, don't they?
Yeah. So they had like, more than likely, I think that our parents' generation, that was their social group. Our generation were probably wisening up, starting to think, do you know what? I probably want to take my health a bit more seriously now. I maybe see where my parents are at, and you know, I don't know. We took other interests. There were more opportunities available, so we probably had the hybrid between the two of the social and the health conscious. So if you notice, maybe the millennials, they seem to be a bit more split between the ones who look after himself and the ones who just don't care and just get smashed every week. Whereas Gen Z seem to be the ones who are just picking up on, like, not necessarily us who are parents, but we have a bit more of an influence over them. So maybe things like social media, they'll probably be looking up to people, I'm sorry to say this, Ryan, our age.
Yeah.
And we seem to be the dominant force in society of people who have got the life experience. We can reflect on our own mistakes and tell our own stories, and we can pass those lessons on to the younger generation. And we're still probably starting to see that the fitness message being filtered down to an earlier and earlier age group. I don't know if you agree.
Totally agree with that. I think social media, as with a lot of things, has changed the social dynamics of every single age range across the board. And I think no one's been more exposed to it than Gen Zers. Like, the Gen Zers now probably haven't known anything else apart from phones. Like, that's kind of all they've ever known. They got them when they were like 10, 11, have had them up until they're like, mid-20s now. So
When did you get a phone?
my first phone was at 11 when I went to high school.
Okay.
Yeah. When was your first phone?
Probably about the same. I remember it were massive.
I had a Nokia 3310.
Did you?
It was the one where you could like take the front and back off in the case and change it. And you get all this like weird. I remember buying this like blue case with electric all over it, like almost like lightning. Look, I thought it was sick, and then I think my mum found it in like a drawer back home and sent me a picture, and it looked horrific. It didn't stand the test of time.
I remember having just this giant phone, and I'm just like, Mum, Dad, why have I got this phone? I'm like, I feel like I want a different one. And I must have been 12 or 13, and the Sony Ericsson.
Oh yeah, the one that slid like that.
What were it called? The Sony Ericsson Walkman.
Yeah.
When all like. Yeah, like it was orange.
Just a Walkman or the phone?
Not the phone. It was called a Sony Ericsson Walkman. Oh, I've just got Walter here, and it was black and orange. And my mates used to like, what were it? It weren't Bluetooth. What were it? I think we literally used to Bluetooth send each other songs by like literally touching our phones.
Wow.
And it was like, I remember it really vividly.
I remember when Bluetooth first came out, and I was like, but how does it work? How is it sending something with no wires, no cable? I couldn't get my head around it. It was just through the airwaves. You send a song. It was mind blowing, wasn't it? Really.
And I think that's the beauty of our generation, because we didn't have technology, and then we did. Like, we had dial-up internet. We had, I don't know if you remember that. Like, you couldn't use the phone if someone was on internet.
Even when I was a kid, though, when I was using it, I remember it being in its infancy. I remember my dad saying, like, this is new, because my dad was in accounting, so a lot of the software for accounting was starting to kind of be developed. He had a big computer at home that he let me use. Definitely downloaded 5 million viruses onto that thing and probably put the whole company in at risk. LimeWire definitely had a LimeWire account, 100%. Yeah, Trojan Horse. It was all over that computer.
All of them.
And I remember like sitting there and there was these like weird... Do you ever have MSN Messenger?
Yeah.
MSN Messenger.
Did you used to put songs in your...
lyrics. Put lyrics in your title.
Yeah.
So you used to have your name and then like you put like a little... like something very... either like that was trying to woo the girls, something that was very deep and meaningful.
So Sick of Love Songs by Neo.
Yeah.
You can always tell what mood someone were in depending on what song they had on.
Yeah, and it was basically a way to go home and chat with your mates on the very first messaging service. But we knew it was all very new and different, and even like the phones. So I had a certain phone, you had a certain phone. Every time you would update your phone, you could get a completely different looking phone. There'd be like some new slide phone, a flip phone. There'd be some new thing with a kind of aerial, or have like a new database of songs on there. And then iPhone came around and it like just polarized the market and everything. Every phone looks the same now, right? There's very little deviance in terms of...
I feel like we were probably the tester generation.
Yeah, the beta.
Yeah, we basically had like... Nobody bothered about screen time. Do you know what I mean? It was like we probably used to watch things for 3 or 4 hours at a time. We probably used to, jump on, play games till, early hours and stuff. And we don't know the adverse side effects of that. Probably starting to see it now potentially, but and I feel like Gen Z have had the opportunity to learn from this and be like, well, no, maybe I don't want screens. Maybe I'm going to get my fix elsewhere. Let me look after myself. Maybe that's
maybe.
Yeah, it'd be quite cool to get a Gen Z on actually to maybe.
It would. Yeah. Trying to think of people who I know. I'm sure there's some clients who can maybe pull out, but I think they're heavily influenced more, I think, by people online than we are. I feel like the Gen Zers now that I coach and know and just speak with, they have idols on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have people I look up to and respect, but the Gen Zs worship, like literally worship people. Like Seabum is worshipped by the Gen Zs. He's just a polarising figure who's just done great things in his industry and, got an awesome audience. He can put out... He gets no less than 500,000 to 1 million likes per post. Per post. It's wild, isn't it? And it's just Gen Zers who are really, really bought into him, his brand and who he is. And I think Gen Zers are influenced more online than we are. And I think that's what fed into the fact that Gen Zers are basically realising that I've got 2 options here. If I want to look like Seabum, I probably better go to the gym and start moving a little bit more. Or if I want to look like Dave from down there at the pub, there's not the pull and the attention. No one's bragging online about going to the pub, and you don't really see that aspect unless your dad's taking you or friends are taking you. You're not exposed to it as much. Whereas online, the fitness base is so much bigger, and the fitness world is so much more available to Gen Zers. So I think that's why this is fed into the fact that they want to spend more time at the gym.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. And just, again, to shout out Google's AI overview, which I think has been great so far. I've noticed that Gen Z are a little bit more diverse, maybe than what our generation was, and maybe definitely what our parents' generation was in terms of what they're exposed to, the different cultures. And I feel like they're like the melting pot of equality and diversity. So it's a bit like they don't care. Maybe what your skin looks like, what you've been through, what your social demographic is, they don't really care. Yeah. Whereas I think that's a bit more prominent in our age ranges. But to answer maybe why they may be a little bit more bothered, or if you have a Gen Zer, as a child, maybe they're getting a bit older now, born in 2012 maybe. I was quite curious of work ethic as well. So a lot of it says here, Gen Z are entrepreneurial and adaptive. And I saw a post recently which was Gen Zers don't want to be managers and leaders. They want to influence instead. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. Everyone almost wants their own personal brand. No one really wants to be a manager and be a middle manager and do all the dirty work for someone else. They want to be the revolutionary. And not everyone can do that.
I agree. I've got this phrase that's great. It's actually a Kano phrase.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's normally Drake, mate, who gets a shout.
We're drifting away from Drake. We're coming more UK based now.
Yeah.
Kano had a lyric in his song I think it's awesome. It says, "Not enough apprentices, too many bosses."
Ooh, that's good.
Everyone wants to be the boss now. And again, that's another part of social media, this boss life. He's got his own company, business. Look at him. Look at the cars. Look at the money. Look at all the things he's doing, the influence and power and money. That's very attention grabbing, especially for males, I think, more than anything else. Whereas not many people want to go and get an apprenticeship and would learn a trade and put in the graft. And I think one thing that I also think is slightly increased in the Gen Zers compared to like Millennials and Gen X is the fact that they want things instantly. They want it now. There's a lack of patience around these things, which is interesting with the gym, isn't it? Because we know those things take many, many years of hard work and sacrifice to kind of get where if you want to get those kind of elite level results. So there's a melting pot of ideas and personalities available to Gen Zers, like go to the gym, work hard, be your own boss, but also get those things as quick as you can. And there's a lack of patience there.
I'd agree. And this is a huge, like, sweeping statement maybe of what Gen Z are like, but potentially the over-reliance on technology can maybe affect, and again, I'm sorry for any Gen Zers listening, maybe the work ethic a little bit. That's the typical.
We're being very broad in terms of our, like, generalisation here, aren't we? Like, we're not speaking to every single person, but I think as a group.
Yeah.
And is that just also, more than anything else, is it an age thing, mate?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to know, isn't it? Because sometimes with youth comes a little bit of naivety in terms of how quickly you can achieve things.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that they'll get to 30, 35 and go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I need a bit more work in here, or my career's going to take a bit more to kind of work on, my physique's going to take a bit more dedication here.
Maybe it's the abundance of opportunities, because I felt like we probably didn't have as many opportunities available. Like if someone would have told me at 18, oh, you can earn money from the internet, I'd have been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, wait, what do you mean?
You can sit home on your laptop and you can earn money.
Yeah, it's like someone who I've never met could pay me for coaching from halfway across the world. I'd be like, what are you talking about? That's literally impossible.
It's a wild concept. Whereas now it's anything's available online.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, it's more a case of knowing the comparison between maybe our parents' generation, to go back to those, because we were influenced by them. So I feel like we've maybe got that work ethic, that bit more grit than maybe what the Gen Z have, who are very smart when they work. But maybe because of the opportunities, there's just that overwhelm of, well, what do I even want? Like, what am I willing to put time and effort into? And I've now had the realization for a project I'm going to embark on, I'm probably going to get a lot of Gen Zers. So seeing the characteristics of maybe working with these Gen Zers a little bit more, it's quite interesting to see maybe what the characteristics are for them. And maybe the unwillingness to work for someone and to make mistakes on their time, basically get paid for making mistakes. You know, somebody employs you, you might make mistakes compared to, I feel like I've drifted away slightly there between like why.
Well, just to swing it back, I think this is why this obviously survey that was done was by the gym group, and it was primarily for that reason. They wanted to understand their Gen Z market even more. Just give you some kind of more data here. So this study found that 37% use the gym as a place to socialise, 62% exercise at least twice a week, 22% spend more than £50 a month on fitness-related activities, and this is from a focal group of 2,000, and it's people between the age of 18 to 24. The most fascinating, because there's quite a lot of other stats in here, but the most fascinating one that we found shocking, surprising, should I say, was only 3% of that 2,000 reported not exercising at all on a weekly basis.
Wow.
That blows my mind.
You have to think, when they're 10 years down the line, what situation are they going to be in? Are they even going to need things like Ozempic?
60 people. 60 people.
Wow.
Out of 2,000 reported having not exercised. I mean, I hope they weren't stood outside the gym group watching people come in and out.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean? I do, but that's really low, isn't it? That's really low. Yeah. And whether that's, I mean, that might include everything from football, sports, like rugby, the gym, running, but it's still pretty good. Pretty good, I would say.
It makes you wonder if that's going to continue as they age. Like, are they going to keep prioritising the health when life gets busy? Maybe when they have kids.
If you go back
what's
10
happening
years
like.
ago, when I first started R5 and I was starting to coach people, probably of similar ages, like people in their mid-20s, like me at the time, I'd hear a lot of people saying, oh, at 18 I stopped everything. Because I went to uni, I didn't pick the sports I was doing at high school, they weren't priority anymore. I found drinking, girls, drugs, and it all kind of went out the window. And that's generally the consensus with most of the people that I coached in those early years. Whereas now, it's completely opposite. Well, we're seeing studies like this that are showing that between those ages of 18 to 24, only 3% of people out of 2,000 haven't exercised that week.
Well,
Which is, let's not beat around the bush, that's awesome. That's so good. It just shows like the amount of ethos there is, and kids that age, I say kids, like mid-20s, you know what I mean? But they only do things because it's cool. They only do things because it's like the in-trend cool thing to do. And it's so good to see like the gym is a cool place to go and socialise. I might not be as for that message when I need the bench press and there's 5 lads around it and they're kind of taking 3 hours to do their sets. But it is great that people are going to the gym and having that as a place to socialise rather than going out and drinking. I actually know a guy who works in the nightclub industry, and he was saying they've seen a 3 nightclubs a week in the UK are closing down. Did you know that?
no.
The nightclub scene is dying, completely dying. Nightclubs are kind of almost had their day because students and people in their 18 to 30 range were their massive main audience. Those people now aren't going out as much. Students aren't going out as much. 3 nightclubs a week are closing in the UK. Thousands of nightclubs across the country are closing.
I feel like I've figured out where they can pivot. Protein parties.
Protein parties.
Get on protein parties.
Protein white Russians.
Just instead of saying, right, go on, we've got quad vods for £1. It's like, listen, you can get some bulk.
It was Dan, actually. Dan, who I coach, who we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
He told me that I think he did something similar last weekend. They were out somewhere, and he made a shake, but I think he put protein powder in it. And there was some alcoholic beverage, I think.
Fair. I can't help but feel like that is on the cards, you know. I'm
Maybe,
semi-joking.
maybe, who knows?
I'm semi-joking.
I mean, you couldn't train. You can't mix alcohol and training, but like you see what Gymshark are doing now, and even the brands around, like the brands that are cool, like rather than it being like Balenciaga and high fashion. I mean, what was cool back in the day when I was a kid? I don't know. Like it was like maybe it was like some sports brands like Fila and Nike and Adidas. You've got these very gym-based brands now that are huge, like billion-dollar companies like Gymshark, and they create this ethos around their brand, and it's good stuff. They make amazing. It's actually not my cup of tea. As a brand, I don't really connect with it much, but I know they make pretty cool clothes. People who wear them are very invested in them, and they're giving people a reason to look good in the gym. Now, if you go and buy gym clothes, what do you immediately want to do? You want to go to the gym and try them out, right? So the whole setup around it is better, rather than the gold gym stringer vest that Pete was mentioning.
Yeah, I can see it now. Late night lifting with protein, like late night lifting, protein party.
I can see you putting a pitch together for Station Gym.
I can see it happening. It's like, here
do
we
you
go.
reckon there might be like almost like a night out, but you have protein?
Yeah,
or you just
go
lift.
and train. Yeah, you just go and lift. Just go and lift. If that's how people are socialising rather than
And you get a
with
DJ,
alcohol.
you get like a DJ in.
Yeah, why not?
This could work, you know.
This could actually work.
So it's like it opens at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's open till 2 a.m.
Yeah, bring all Gymshark gear you want. It's up to you. No steroids allowed.
And they'll have a DJ in there, and you can socialise, and you can like
lift
for
till
young
early
people
hours.
who are looking to like young lads as well, and maybe looking to like maybe you could do some dancing as well. You might even like maybe there's a bit of the area where if you wanted to go and spin a girl around, you could do.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe open it at 6 though, so
6.
so they can train, they can have their meal, they can sit down and then they're
Get
in
to
bed
bed
without disrupting the circadian rhythm. That's all I'm thinking, mate. It's all going to change.
But they probably would. Like the weird thing is, they probably would be more concerned with getting to bed on time as well.
Yeah, which makes you think like, what on earth are Ted and Harlow generation going to be like?
Yeah, what were they called? They had named it. Was it Generation Alpha?
They've got
Alpha.
the coolest one,
Yeah.
Generation Alpha, which is anyone born between 2010 and 2024.
God, that's cool. Why couldn't we be called Generation Alpha?
Millennials. I feel like everyone just hates millennials.
That's just going to breed like alpha males, that generation.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's going to be. But again, I'm really curious to know like characteristics of Generation Alpha, because I'm like, there's literally some Generation Alpha who are now 15.
What?
Born at like 2010.
Okay, cool.
2010. I put here, curious, savvy and confident, raised in smaller, constantly evolving families, which I thought were quite cool. When marketing to Gen Alpha, simple slogans, playful and whimsical, understand their lifestyle values and self-concepts. Do you know if you said that to my granddad? He'd be like, what? What are you on about?
He wouldn't know any of those
No, I
words.
would have a clue. He'd be like, what are you on about?
It's a lot of marketing talk there, isn't it?
Yeah. Which you have to look at that and think, that's
The
mesmerising.
interesting comment was the ever-evolving families. Like, I agree. Maybe like there's more divorces than ever nowadays, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's more people separating and not being together. There's more diversity in terms of like sexual orientation, things like that, and 2 mums, 2 dads kind of thing. It is. They're of that generation now where that was kind of it is very accepted, which is good. I think there's pros and cons, and probably another podcast around that.
Yeah.
But I think that they have got ever evolving families, and they're more diverse in their thinking around that.
Maybe Ted and Harlow are going to be the ones to get late night lifting protein parties.
We're going to be waiting a while then, aren't we?
Maybe that's what's going to happen. But who knows? And again, you're trying to forecast and predict, and you think like who knows? Who knows what they're going to be into? But the key word that you mentioned were influence. And we were influenced by our parents, obviously.
Yeah.
Our parents were influenced by our grandparents, who were, quite frankly, wartime children. So you think that wartime mentality is trickling down now? I find this fascinating. So that, like, I said this a lot, but my nan is hard as nails. She's solid. I think, I don't know if I'm right saying this.
Is that from a personality point of view, from a mental toughness point of view?
Doesn't complain. Like, I think she broke a collarbone and it's set. So she's got to like have it rebroken. She's had it for like years. She broke a collarbone and she didn't tell anybody. I'm like, man, it's hard as nails.
Didn't want to show face.
Yeah. And I'm just like, it's hard as nails. And I'm like, if that were me, I'd be like, get it fixed, please.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's mesmerising.
I think there's just there's the facility to do it straight away now.
Exactly.
Like, you wouldn't even think twice, whereas back in their day it was like, and I feel like I'm maybe a little bit like that, where I don't want to bother people. And it's also a bit of hassle for me. Like, I broke my collarbone, part of me's thinking, will it heal by itself?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I assess it. It's a bit like when you break a finger. There's probably no point in going, because all they're going to do is stitch it up, put a stint between, and let it heal.
100%. And I don't know, what's your honest opinion of maybe Gen Z?
Walter's coming for a nice kiss.
Come for a cuddle.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, lovely kiss. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you talking? Do you want to say hello? What's your honest opinion of Gen Z in terms of where they're at in society right now? Or
I think as a society, all the Gen Zers I know are generally really nice.
Sound, aren't
they're nice people.
Yeah.
Yes, sound people. Like they're cool. They get it. Like they give you great insights into like how the online side of things works. Like I've spoken to some Gen Zers, and they're talking about these apps and things like ways of marketing. And they're like, I see this trend here, and I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. That could work. And some that I'm thinking of a few guys that I know who I bump into in JD actually. And when we have conversations about things, they're very insightful. Like they're very in tune with what's happening amongst their group and peers and online. They understand the online world way better than we do, that's for sure.
Which I'm glad you said that, because I was going to mention about maybe a lack of interaction. Like maybe those skills of approaching people or talking to people. And I probably see it now with maybe newly qualified PTs as well.
Yeah.
Which is potentially a group that I would looking to work with in future. But they're probably much more confident shooting into someone's DMs or commenting on a post, rather than maybe like what you said in Pete's episode, which is going and dropping somebody a compliment or just saying like, looking good, mate, great set.
I think with the online world comes fractions into every part of society. The dating world, even things like that. Like people the Gen Zs, I think, would just rather message someone online rather than go meet someone at a bar. Do you know what I mean? And that's a massive factor as to why people are choosing the gym over the pub. Because they realise that, well, the gym will make me look better, even on, Tinder profiles and Hinge profiles. That's going to directly affect my ability to get a girl. Whereas going to the pub won't.
What do you think the state of pubs are at right now? I know you said the nightclub scene's dying a bit of a death.
I think... I actually don't know. I wouldn't want to comment without seeing the kind of stats and figures. But whenever I've been to pubs, they seem to be doing pretty well. I think a lot of pubs have diversified into food now, which is a big thing. I think people like doing a bit more earlier drinking, so day drinking, so bars and like these bougie bars do quite well now because people would rather go out earlier, come home earlier. Yeah, it's fascinating to kind of see, but I don't quite a lot, mate, so I'm probably not the best person to comment on this.
Did you grow up in pubs? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Did your mum and dad constantly...
My mum and dad weren't really in pubs a lot, but when I got to like teenage years, we definitely had pubs near us that we would go and spend a lot of time in. And it was our way of socialising. You go to this place called the Bull's Head.
Yeah.
We go to the Bull's Head. We go to what was it one called? I grew up kind of in an area called Green Mountain. There was, it's actually it's not far from Ramsbottom, and they had the thing called the Rammy Mile, which is like just a street through Ramsbottom, which is just littered with pubs, and you can just go down there. Must be about, God, I want to say 20, 25 pubs on this one street, and you can go start to finish. And that was how he socialised. He went in all these pubs, different pubs for different people, different pubs, different social circles. It was where you met other people. Yeah.
Same. I suppose my mum and dad were, that's where they went to socialise. They were pretty well known. Obviously, I grew up in Woodhouse, and I always felt very safe, if that makes sense, because I were known as Mandy and Bob's lad. So I always felt very protected because I were well known because of my parents in the area, and people sort of looked after you and kept an eye out. So there were huge benefits to that. But I remember going to like football with my dad, United games, and going into the pub first, going into the social club. And I remember thinking from quite an early age, like, obviously I got into martial arts as a kid, so I was always looking at different cultures and different languages. I remember looking around social clubs thinking, this is not very diverse at all. Everyone sort of, looks the same, from very similar backgrounds, potentially, very working class. And it sort of felt, I don't know, it never really connected with me, that. So if that's how Gen Z feel, but ramped up, maybe that's why they're put off by pubs a little bit, because it's a bit like, no, actually we find diversity quite interesting. We can travel the world a little bit more. Yeah. We can expose ourselves to different cultures, and maybe you don't stereotypically find that in pubs.
I think there's still a big fraction of like people around that age that are turning like 17, 18, 19, 20, and drinking's new. Like, for me, when I turned 18, it was like, oh, I don't have to use a fake ID now to get in places. But drinking was new. It was different. Yeah. Like, it was. I actually didn't drink anything until I was 18. I was big into my football, big into my sports. But when I turned 18, I remember having a pint. I think it was all kind of downhill from there, really. But there is like a lot of people, I think, who are still going to be of that mindset in the Gen Zers. I've got a few Gen Zers that I'm coaching now who are kind of, they do like the pub, there's no doubt about it, but they're easily persuaded into other things because their friends are doing it. So even if you're naturally more inclined to be like, right, I do like pubs, I do like this, you might also be of the mindset of, I also need to go and do this because my mates do that. And if your mates are hanging out there more, you don't want to feel left out. No one in their kind of early 20s wants to be the guy who only goes to the pub and doesn't go to the gym with the mates. So you'll go just as a bit of a socialise. And yeah, that's nice.
I've put here maybe Gen Z are plagued with a bit of knowledge.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and elaborate on this. So you only know what you know. Whereas Gen Z, if they want to find something, they've grown up being like, oh, just Google it. Whereas me and you, our generation, we probably just had to mess it up and just learn from it. Or if we didn't speak to someone who'd done that, we'd be like, oh, right, I might think twice about doing that then. But I feel like they've got a lot of knowledge available to them that can maybe give them this decision-making paralysis sometimes.
Yeah.
That was my observation from, if you make a decision, they seem to go all in because they've done all the research. Whereas sometimes it's nice just to stumble across things and do it because you love it. Like, I've said this to you before, genetically, I'm probably not built to lift weights. Like, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the quickest, but I enjoy it. I see the benefits of it. I see how it's benefited people I work with. And I fell into it for that reason. If I'd have looked and studied, like, where are my strengths? What do I want? What opportunities are available? Whereas I just fell into what I enjoyed. And I feel like you're losing a little bit of that magic right now.
I think it goes both ways. I think the fact that they've got more access to information than any generation prior to them gives them that power to be like, I can learn without going to that place.
Yeah.
I can learn all about the gym and the exercises just from sitting at home on my computer watching YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's a phenomenal resource and power. It really is. But then you're going to at some point want to put that into practice. And maybe when you put it into practice, you stick to uniform to the things that you know, and you're not willing to kind of diversify. Whereas when you go to the gym, but on the same kind of page, I guess, the gym back in the day, there'd be a lot of opinions, wouldn't there? So you go into the gym, a bodybuilding gym, for example, and you get two bodybuilders with two completely different ways of training. One was more kind of full range of motion. Other guy was like just branch warring. I'm thinking of like this bodybuilder who just lifted as heavy as he could and wasn't bothered at all about range of motion. And you get two opinions, but you can get that same thing online now, can't you? So I think it's down to the individual to decipher what part of the information is good for them and what they want to try.
I feel like to do a really terrible job of summarising the episode, more Gen Zers are probably choosing the gym rather than the pub because that's what's cool.
Yeah,
like literally,
sure.
I don't even know if that's a cool thing to say anymore. But
cool was so 10 years ago,
yeah,
mate.
I feel like it were.
Riz now, isn't it?
Riz now, yeah. You go there to get Riz.
Yeah, go there to
show your Riz.
Show your Riz.
Whereas, I don't know.
Did it help your Riz?
Yeah, did it help your Riz? Are we saying that right? Whereas, I've never felt more old, mate, as I've started
So anyone who doesn't know what Riz is, by the way, and I didn't know up until maybe a few months ago, it's basically like, it's how much swagger you've got, would you say? How much like you've got about you, personality.
I feel like you've got some good gym Riz.
Some gym
Riz.
Don't say those two words too fast.
Oh, very close. Very close. But no, I don't know. It's one of those where we said it last week. I think it was about like what makes things popular. Like who makes fashion popular? Who's decided the gym is now better than the pub?
Yeah.
Like who's in control of this? And
it's a brilliant move in the grand scheme of things because health is being promoted. We can't deny that. It's fantastic. It's great.
Are there any maybe negative influences? Because I mentioned there about the key word is probably influence. I have views on this where maybe I think without this influence, especially for young girls, the world might be a better place. Somebody else might have filled this hole anyway, but the Kardashians, I feel like, ruined everything. I don't. Is
that the clip for the podcast?
I hope not.
The Kardashians ruined everything.
I don't know. I just think the negative influence of like the self-absorbed, maybe wanting to look good. Is it for you or is it for somebody else?
I guarantee a lot of the push towards the gym is based on that as well. Like people want to look good.
Yeah.
Like they understand how valuable that is as a tool, not only for like to get partners, but also for confidence in themselves, to get jobs. Like there's so many crossovers into you looking good and feeling good. They're going to overlay into the areas of your life. We've seen it with clients. You know, people revolutionise their whole personality and persona based on their progress in the gym, and it happens.
Yeah, that strikes me as a bit of a concern, if I'm honest, because I think if you're not doing this for the right reasons, or like for whatever you deem as a right reason, if it's purely to look good for someone else, I'd question that.
Yeah.
If it's to look and feel good in your own skin, I'd question that as well. I just think, what is the reason why you're doing it?
It's so hard to decipher, because if I'm being totally honest, totally honest, one of the main reasons I got into the gym was to, when I was younger, impress girls. There's no doubt about it. When I was starting to train at 12, 13 years old, you get into that age where girls become this thing that's like, ugh, icky girls, when you're like, you know, you're 10, so suddenly like, oh, I really like girls now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the weird transition you make, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, you go, right, well, how do I look better for the girls? And then that developed over time into this huge passion that I continue to this day to love, which is training. And I absolutely love.
I just said training, mate.
There was a small moment where I was like, make sure I say that and not the other thing. But yeah, I think it's like, that's how it started. That was the origins. And would I have got into training if it wasn't for wanting to impress, you know, some other people? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
I was always into sports, so
Yeah.
I think it's weird the path you take.
Whereas I don't know, I always felt the opposite. I sort of got into training. I've shared this story a lot. I got into training to be better at sport, and I sort of saw this nice side effect of, oh, I'm getting some compliments now, or oh, I'm quite liking how that works. So that was a side effect, and I don't know if that's the lack of a bodybuilding influence, probably. But
Don't get me wrong, I definitely was playing a lot of football at the time, and I was running on the treadmill, so there was a massive part of my training, but there was parts of my training that I didn't need to do. Like I didn't need to do 100 sit-ups most days to develop my abs. I just did it because I thought it looked cool, and it would be an impressive feature. And I didn't need to train bicep curls, but I just liked the way it made me feel. There was a big part of it how it made me feel. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was really cool the fact you could just move this weight a few times and this big vein down here starts bulging. I was like, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I finished my session and I looked twice as big. That's pretty fucking cool. I want to keep doing this. But then you gauge the reaction, of people, and that's quite nice as well. So there's so many different reasons why people do things, but maybe if it is purely because you aren't bothered at all, you don't like lifting weights, you hate the gym, you can't stand it, but you're only going there to impress the people, maybe that's an issue.
I think as long as you're aware of why, aware that, okay, what are your drivers for doing this? I'll encourage people to reflect on that. And most people will know if it's a bit of a toxic drive. And like I said, without the Kardashians, who knows what the world would be? Somebody else would have probably filled that role anyway. But no, I'm just thinking, mate, in terms of...
I'm going to read you some more stats. I've just been having a look for this article here. And it says, outside monthly fixed costs, 22% of respondents prioritise their disposable income on health and fitness. The most, more than all the other areas, including socialising with friends, which is 18%, streaming services, which is 18%, going to the pubs and restaurants, 16%. So that's interesting. So of the 2,000 people, 22% of people, their disposable income goes on health and fitness. 16% was on pubs and restaurants. So there's a bit of a gap there, but it's not kind of wild. 64% spend £50 per month on fitness-related memberships and activities, while 22% spend more than £50. Sorry, almost half of respondents, 47%, said they have decreased their alcohol intake or stopping drinking altogether in the last 6 months.
Wow.
The main driver for reducing alcohol intake was linked to physical improvements, 36% of that group, followed by the general health concerns at 22%, and the influence of family and friends, which was 12%.
Wow.
So maybe that influence of family and friends is what we were speaking about with like doing it because other people are doing it, trying to impress other people. So 12%, that's interesting.
Fair. Because I always think of like the direct feeling, like what's the aftermath? Like if you go to the gym, yes, it might be hard whilst you're doing it, but how do you feel after most of the time?
Great.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got this rule with clients where I'm like, as soon as they walk through the door, I'm like, how have you been? And then when we get chatting, I'll say, all right, scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? And if they say, oh, I feel like a 5 today, in an hour's time, we can make them feel an 8, 9, maybe even a 10 out of 10. Alcohol, in an hour, you can be in a ditch somewhere. Like in an hour.
Absolutely.
So it's knowing that, like, what's the direct, like, what's the fitness hangover?
Yeah.
Added, like, boosted mood and more confidence. What's the alcohol hangover?
Yeah.
Horrific.
Well, I've given people's legs a little bit of a scene over the years. I mean, I won't wish that anymore. Maybe a hangover might be better in that respect.
Yeah, fair. But most of the time, they'll link that risk versus reward, won't they? And be like, I've got 2 choices here. I can see my mates and feel terrible tomorrow and feel really anxious and really, just feel like crap and get a kebab on the way home. Or I can go to the gym, I can move, I can still socialise with him. Yeah. And we can maybe, do it again tomorrow.
I think the overriding real kind of ethos for this is exactly what you said at the start. It's cool to go to the gym now. It just is, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The twists and turns of social media and society have now made it so that the gym is cooler than the pub.
It's fine by me.
Fine by me, mate. Fine by me.
Fine
Anything
by me.
else you want to add to the episode on why Gen Zers are choosing the gym over the pub?
No, just to encourage people to stop hating on millennials because we're not that bad.
Yeah.
Just put up a defence there.
We said it before the podcast. Millennials just seem to get the most shit. Well, why do we get the most shit?
I don't know. I feel like it's
because we were the big turning point in terms of like the old generation and the new generation. It was all the millennials because we had the first internet, we had the first phones. We were the ones that were first impacted, I think, by online stuff.
We were the first ones to get it wrong, maybe, in terms of screen time and going out for meals and being sat on your Game Boy Color.
There's always what is it now? Like they always just say millennials were self-absorbed, maybe a little bit, and that was always the kind of label, wasn't it?
Maybe it's because we feel safer. We're not at war anymore.
But I think every generation has always said that generation's lazier than us, that generation's lazier than us. You could probably go back 50 generations and they will
Still get the same.
Hard as nails,
Yeah.
but the generation before them would say the same about them.
True. Maybe just, what's this phrase? I think you might have said this phrase about hard times make strong men. Strong men make like stable times, or like stable times. Stable times make weak men.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna have to Google it now because it's a phenomenal quote.
It is a great quote, and it always sticks with me that because it's this like a bit of a random one. I always think this about people who come from nothing and then become someone, whether it's like a multimillionaire or whatever, and they hated like the establishment or people with money growing up, and then their kids are now them kids.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, how do you even cope with that? Like,
I've got the quote here. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. So it's that circle, it's that full circle of like life gets easier and easier and easier. And that's what technology's done for us. It's made life so easy.
Yeah.
But it makes weak people.
Yeah.
And as the weaker the kind of society gets, then the harder the times get, generally.
And that's why if anyone who is Gen Z or has Gen Z kids who's listening, I can't stress the demand for leadership. People need strong leadership and strong guidance. And maybe that's what we're lacking at the minute. Maybe that's why the weak men rise to the top, because they're comfortable and they've maybe not really worked very hard to get there. So they feel a little bit entitled. You only have to see it with some politicians, not naming any names. You see that a lot, maybe.
Yeah. The word. They used to say millennials are very entitled. We were the first generation where they thought we were very entitled. And I think maybe that entitlement has got a little bit stronger each time. I don't know. I mean, it could be a youth thing. I think the youth generally are just a bit more entitled. I think every generation would say that about the youth. But yeah, I'm just reading that quote again. I think it's so poignant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's the way the world's going. The world's getting easier and easier and easier. The times are getting better and better and better. But weak men create hard times.
Maybe that's why we're seeking out hard things to do. Like, there's a reason why ice baths.
Maybe, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, there's a reason why ice baths are really popular, because it's hard. There's a reason why
running's and ultramarathon running is going through the roof because it's hard. People are seeking out hard things. The gym is difficult to commit to. It's hard. Lifting weights is hard. Maybe the weaker people, some of them are now seeking out harder things to go and do.
There's a scientific word for this called hormesis, which is survival of the fittest, basically. So if you have nothing to respond to, you'll essentially downregulate. You'll just get comfortable. Somebody read me out a stat the other day, which was, I think it might have been the amount of time now that we spend outdoors, like compared to our grandparents. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Our grandparents used to spend, I think it was 82%, if I've got the stat right, outdoors. Would you like to have a guess what modern times, how long we spend out, what percentage of our time we spend outdoors?
39. What?
Yeah.
No.
I will find this. This
post
stat.
this up. Post this up.
Wild, yeah. And so I will find it. And
so we spend the average
9%.
person spends 9% of their time outside. But it used to be 80,
like 82 or something mad.
82%.
Because it would just, you're outside working or you were doing something away from shelter. And I don't know if that were our grandparents' generation or maybe even further back. It could be ancestrally. I have no idea. I will find this because I'm butchering it now.
That's a really cool stat.
But the thing now, if you're listening to this, just think, okay, what percentage do I spend outdoors? Makes you think.
Yeah. I mean, I work from home.
Yeah.
Studio at the house.
Yeah. It's comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah. Spent a lot of time outside today.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Had a great session. Yeah. Anything more you want to add?
No, just again, big up Gen Z, because I feel like they've got a lot going for them. They've got lots of opportunities, so just don't shy away from leadership.
Yeah, agreed. And guys, as we always finish with every episode on, subscribe, like the content, share it with people that you think may benefit from this, because we want to inspire other parents and dads and mums to go on and be kind of their kids' superhero, basically. So the more you can subscribe, better the show gets.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear from Gen Z-ers, any parents of Gen Z-ers, about like their experience of you know, what's it like? You know, what's it like having these?
What's the biggest thing you've noticed in your child compared to like your generation?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that for sure.
I'm off to go and start a business for late night lifting and protein parties.
I can't wait to see the name of this.
I'll figure it out.
The Gen Z protein party.
Gen Z protein party.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's there. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Fitness Podcast. See you in the next one.
See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Today.